Sometimes in a court of Minecraft law, a man forgets to turn off his microphone. This results in feedback. This is our story.
All rise.
Okay. Your Honor, members of the court, today we are here to address a pattern of harmful and unlawful actions carried out by the defendant, Jackson. Actions that have caused significant stress, property damage, and an atmosphere of fear and intimidation. This case involves serious claims of defamation, negligence, and virtual assault, all of which are directly linked to the defendant's reckless and malicious behavior. Firstly, we address the defamation that has occurred. Jackson has committed both slander and libel against me. He made false and harmful statements in person on March 20th, calling me a dictator and claiming that I sought only to silence him. Defamatory statements were not confined to verbal interactions, but extended to the written word, as Jackson posted false claims in server chats and even shared videos with the intent to harm my reputation. While Jackson attempted to evade accountability by calling these videos a quote-unquote parody, the reality is that they were full of false claims and they have caused significant harm to both my personal and professional standing. He has called me an oppressor, a tyrant, and a dictator, terms that are entirely false and have damaged my name and reputation. He, nor anyone else, has been silenced like he has claimed. A channel was created for everyone to speak freely. He has repeatedly refused to use it until admin intervention. He has not been oppressed or forced to serve. Trade deals which were started by himself have been the only form of virtual interaction we've had within the realm. This defamation has directly led to the defacing of my property, with signs that echoed these false claims, signs that would not have existed had Jackson not engaged in this harmful behavior. I seek justice today to hold Jackson accountable for his false statements and the harm they caused. Secondly, we must address the negligence of the defendant. Jackson had a duty to contribute to a peaceful and respectful environment within the server, and he had a duty to respect other players' builds and properties. Unfortunately, he chose to breach those duties, facilitating hostile communication and an environment of discord both on the server and in the game itself. Despite being given multiple warnings, Jackson repeatedly violated the rules, spamming harmful rhetoric in the chat 26 times and refusing to use the designated channels for his quote-unquote opinions. His actions instigated not only my distress, but also affected other players, including Hudson and Zoe. Although Jackson may or may not have been the one to physically place illegal signs on my property, he is the proximate cause of the damage, as his rhetoric inspired others to do so. These signs, around 40 of them on my property alone, and an additional around 20 on Zoe's property, which were dispersed without permission, contain harmful messages. The damages are not only to my property, it has caused me great distress and affected the quality of my gameplay. I take pride in the server we have created, and it is disturbing to see signs everywhere that are meant to intimidate me and indoctrinate others against me. I ask that he respect not only myself, but the server we all belong to, and I ask that he be held responsible for the harm he has caused. Lastly, we turn to the issue of virtual assault. Jackson's threats of violence towards me and my government are not mere words. They were intended to incite fear and cause harm. On multiple occasions, Jackson made violent threats, such as, do whatever to stop them, beat them, gut them. If I have to kill, I'll kill. And additionally, the city will burn. Even if he attempts to hide behind the claim of parody, there is no excuse for such violent rhetoric, especially when it was used to intimidate and instill fear in me and others. His threats were not isolated incidents. They were part of a larger pattern of behavior, encouraging others to join in his violent rhetoric, and to spread fear throughout the server. During a trade discussion, unprompted, Jackson threatened to burn the city down over a matter involving a daughter I knew nothing about. His willingness to use such language and encourage others to act on it is deeply concerning and crosses the line into virtual assault. His actions have made me fear for my safety and the safety of others on the server, and I ask that he be held accountable for the harm and the fear he has instigated. In conclusion, Jackson's actions have caused significant damage to my property, my reputation, and my peace of mind. Through defamation, negligence, and virtual assault, he has violated the trust and respect that should exist within any community. We ask that the court recognize the harm caused and hold the defendant accountable for his actions, so that justice can be served and my reputation and safety can be restored. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Your Highness, this case rattles me deep to my core. After reviewing the evidence closely and spending much time in conversation with my client, Jackson, I not only believe he is completely innocent, but that this case has a much more nefarious, malicious purpose. The evidence I will present here today not only shows that my client is completely innocent of all 3 counts here, but also that this case was unjustly brought upon him to stifle political change. Briefly, I will address each claim against my client, Jackson. First, the claim of defamation. Defamation requires 3 things: that the statements are false, that they are knowingly false, and that the statement was made with malicious intent. Every single one of these statements, most of which cannot even be attributed to my client, fails on every single account. In fact, the plaintiff has multiple times described herself in even harsher words in open public conversation. Second, the claim of negligence. Both my client and I have had trouble wrapping our heads around this. Negligence requires a legal responsibility to take action rather than simply avoiding criminal actions. For example, taking care of a child. Jackson has half a dozen cherished pets of his own: Imogen, Festi, Jasper, Horatio, Banquo, and Lear. Would a man capable of negligence of this scale also be the kind of man to ensure the safety and happiness of so many animals? The plaintiff speaks of safety. Would a guilty verdict lead to other server members feeling safe in their ability to engage in free discussion of their beliefs? Third, the claim of assault. None of the evidence provided even rises to the level of assault, even if my client was the type of person to assault his closest friends. This evidence doesn't even prove that. If there was actual evidence of assault, I would have advised my client to settle out of court on this claim. However, me and my client both know that he is innocent. I leave you all with this. In our court system, all people are innocent until proven guilty. Ask yourself this for each claim individually. Am I convinced, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that this man is guilty? Could his actions be more reasonably explained by any other means? I thank you all for your time.
Alright. So, oh, that's nice. I don't know who did that, but that's nice. Few issues. 1. Mean this as kindly as possible. I don't think y'all know what some of the words you used mean. That's okay. It's okay, don't feel bad about that. None of us are authorized to practice actual law, including me. When we talk about statements within vocabulary of law, so when you're talking about like assault, defamation, negligence, there's going to be what's called a statute, which is a type of law. Within that statute, it's quite literally the written out definition. You have to meet every single point of that written statement of that statute in order for that to be held as whatever the term is. So, for example, defamation, right? So, defamation, by legal terminology, is a statement that injures a third party's reputation. 1, it has to be a third party speaking about whoever the other 2 parties or 1 party is, right? That has to be outside of court, that has to be outside of their knowledge, and it has to be outside of anyone else. That means usually it has to be 2, 3, 4 people, however many, but not including whoever the defamation is about, right? Or supposed defamation. Then you also have 2 different types of defamation, which y'all brought up, libel and slander. I'm not seeing any evidence for slander. I am seeing it for libel. The other thing is you have to assess whether these damages, whatever damages incurred, actually caused an issue or any negative impact on reputation, either professional, personal, whatever. So from all of that, we have to meet all of those markers.
Oh my goodness. Drat.
On March 12, 2025, the defendant, Jackson, uploaded video in which the contents defamed our beloved server owners and incited violence among the people. Because of this video, my property and many surrounding bases have been vandalized by revolutionary propaganda. some of which include direct calls to action to rise up against those wrongly perceived as oppressors. This has created a hostile environment and made me feel wrongly targeted. Furthermore, the defendant referenced me by name and said, quote unquote, if I have to take Zoe's armor, I'll fucking take it.
If I need Zoe's armor, I'll fucking take it.
The defendant was clearly passionate enough about the prospect to use the explicative and bold enough to believe that I wouldn't be alarmed by the direct threat. This incendiary language was brushed aside by the defendant. He claims it was merely a parody, and so has been able to get away with it thus far. Ever since the video, the realm has become increasingly hostile towards those with capital, such as myself, and so I hope today's hearing will stop this growing divide and heal our realm back to its original state, for the sake of every player.
A little over a week ago, it was at D&D on Thursday, March 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall when we were having a discussion about the court case before we started the D&D session?
I recall.
Did any of the statements made by the defendant, Jackson, match rhetoric he's put in the chat?
I'd say so, yes.
Can you think of anything specific, any words describing me or himself or any actions he's done?
Mostly the stuff that he's already stated in his videos. Pretty much repeating what he's, saying that he's being oppressed for his speech.
Has he ever given a reason to you why he believes he's oppressed?
Not particularly.
Okay. In any other cases, can you recall, without myself present, has this conversation come up about the revolution that he has started?
A few times.
No.
Yes, a few times it has come up.
Okay. During these conversations, was that rhetoric mentioned to you, or was it just about his plans?
He was a lot less hostile, I'd say.
I'd imagine I wasn't present. He's pretty hostile when I'm present.
Definitely felt a lot less threatened whenever you weren't present.
So you can say that he's more threatening when I'm nearby.
Yeah, I can confidently say so.
I have a few questions.
Go ahead.
Nice to meet you, by the way.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
But I have a question. Do you recall about a week or so ago calling for someone's assistance with a guardian infestation at one of your projects?
I recall such a thing, yes.
Do you recall who was assisting you?
I do recall.
Who was that? Could you tell the court?
It was the defendant, Jackson.
So you called upon Jackson for his assistance in a guardian infestation, correct?
I did, and I believe I fairly compensated him for his labor.
Okay. Now, could you just describe for the court how the guardian infestation was affecting your work during your project?
Well, I have a perimeter going right now, and there were 2 guardian infestations that happened. He helped me with both of them, and basically I just couldn't break blocks. It was super annoying trying to actually place everything that I needed to place, so I figured the best course of action would be to hire some help. And I was satisfied with his work. I believe he was satisfied with his compensation, and there's no bad blood as far as I can tell.
Okay. Now, you used the word hire and you used the word compensation and paid. Did Jackson ask for payment before assisting you?
He asked what I would be paying him, and I gave him an amount, and then we negotiated a little bit, and each of us were satisfied.
Okay, I see. Now, I have some texts here. I'm looking at a conversation that you had with Jackson, I'd say around the same time frame. He had texted you, "Love you to Zoe" with 3 E's. And then in a follow-up text shortly after, he said, "But do you really think I threatened your armor or you?" In response, you had said, "No, I don't really think that. I'm just playing it up for the plot," with a laughing emoji. Could you explain these texts to the court and how they contradict your previous statement with the plaintiff?
I have a question. Was this submitted as evidence?
Yeah, I'm pretty. You submit.
You can bring evidence into court. We're doing an open discovery. So as long as it's available for everyone, that's open evidence, sorry.
Okay.
But that's the truth.
Those are accurate statements. Yes.
Okay.
That is something I said.
Okay. I believe that you mean the best for this community, but I'm not sure if your previous statement and your current one, the facts don't seem to line up with me. I'm not sure how much I can trust your eyewitness testimony on this. But thank you. I rest my case, plaintiff. If you'd like to go on to further questioning, you may.
Thank you. Zoe, just to reiterate, while the evidence brought forward may affect your testimony towards assault, this currently is open for slander and defamation. What was brought forward does not affect that case. So may I ask again, the statements you said previously to me about him having conversations not involving me about the revolution with similar rhetoric is still true?
Yes, it's still true.
If you've been slapped with a heinous lawsuit, you better call Alec. Hi, I'm Alec. And did you know you have rights? The Constitution says you do, and so do I. In this country, every man, woman, and child is innocent until proven guilty. That's why I fight for you. Visit my entirely legitimate, not at all mysterious law offices today